I'm a very passionate Indian. I'm proud of India. I'm delighted that we've made the kind of liberal moves that we have economically. And I'm a great believer that we can do much more. I have a great deal of frustration also that we're not doing enough, and that the country, in fact, is being held back by vested interests, some of it in the private sector, some of it in the public sector, some of it politically. And that we are not really unleashing the true potential of India. I feel that we can be a major power in the economic power in the region. We have intellectual capital, we have resources, we have everything that one might need. We have the same population and a large market. Why should we be so different to China? So I feel a sense of frustration, but I have a great deal of pride in my country and want to see it grow and prosper. Every time we have good news to give and that we're perceived of well overseas, I'm a very proud person.
I don't know if I can pinpoint those exciting moments, but I think that era of my life happened in a strange way. My mother was diagnosed with cancer and was in Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York, and I took a leave of absence to be with her in the hospital. And she was there 4 months, and I had very little to do, and I sat and wrote out what turned out to be a strategic plan for the Tata Group. And when I came back, when she expired and I came back to India, I was told very politely that it was a very nice plan, but it was rejected. Then a few months later, I became the chairman of Tata Industries, and rather defiantly, I implemented that plan for Tata Industries. This was before I became chairman of the group, but it gave me a momentum that put us into electronics, put us into advanced technologies, and did all the exciting things that a younger person would want to do. And it became possible because I was also very lucky at that time. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister, and it was almost as though he had read my plan, because the various things that in the plan could not have been done in India, he made possible. So
I'm sort of at the end of my life. Oh, I don't know. I think India is going through a very interesting time. I have a great deal of desire to participate in this growth. I don't mean personally to prosper, but to see India grow. And I think to see the quality of life of the Indian people rise would be something that I would consider a great fascination. Making money is not everything. I think seeing a community develop, seeing children being more healthy are all issues where I think many of us should have a great sense of desire to participate. And I hope I could make some difference in those areas.
I think what's the government on the one hand would like to be seen to be encouraging this new growth area, but I think our government is missing the fact that what's really needed is an environment that is free of little obstacles and little roadblocks that have plagued us all along, because at some local level or at some municipal level or at the center, there's somebody who's always staying up nights trying to make life difficult, and the belief that they're controlling the uncontrolled. So I think what this industry needs is an environment of ease, not subsidies, not schemes that are complex and almost not worthy of the time spent, but an ease of setting up a company, the ease of a taxation system that doesn't hurt you when you're new. And I think the fact that so many startups have relocated themselves in Singapore is an indication of the fact that it's easier to do business and to grow and to have incentives and an environment that is friendly here than it is in India. And I say this with a certain degree of pain, because this is a new phenomenon in India, and it's a shame that it'll move away, but it'll move wherever it has to move to make business easier. India is an entrepreneurial country. We could call ourselves the country of shopkeepers, small entrepreneurs, whatever it is, but everybody seems to have an entrepreneurial instinct, whether it be a little guy in a pawn shop in the corner, or a small manufacturer, even a black marketeer, but he's entrepreneurial. And so this industry has found its meat, if you might, amongst the entrepreneurs of India, and there are millions of them.
We've been courted now by many states. I think one state stands out as a state which acts fast, where truly at the very top, the chief minister seems truly committed to making the state prosperous and investor-friendly, something that we really do believe that the West Bengal government is also trying to do, unfortunately without the total support in the state. That we have been always impressed by what Mr. Narendra Modi has been able to do in terms of administering and managing the state in a very efficient manner. He holds to his word. I think that's, if I could dwell on that a minute, I think that's very important. Industry wants to be assured of something when it wants to move. And more, I think industry is now demanding that we have it in writing, that we sign an agreement. And why? Because very often you hear later that, well, we said this, but it can't be done. There's this law that prevents it, etc. One really has a sense of faith in Mr. Modi that if he were to say that this will be done, it will be done. Because on a big project like this, you need to have the motivation and the enthusiasm of the people who are on the site. And they look to you, they look at your eyes when you tell them that they have to work in that environment. And you have a responsibility for their safety and for their family's comfort level when they're working there. So those have been tough moments when a contractor's employee or our employee was either assaulted or intimidated, or even outside that, individual people in the area, if anything happened. This was an issue of sadness for us because we didn't come there for that reason.
All through my early years in Tata's, I faced this frustration of having ideas, but nobody wanted to listen. Not only did anybody not want to listen, but they had advice to you to keep your mouth shut because you didn't have experience, and the only ideas that were listened to were those which had been successful somewhere else. So every time you had a thought, it got thwarted. So there's an inbuilt frustration that I carried through most of my career. I tried to rectify that when I was chairman. We started a series of new ventures, which I talked to you about earlier, but frustration that we were not really using our might to enter new fields that no one had entered before. On the investment side, I never could make investments in activities myself because there was always the prospect of a conflict of interest in a Tata company, and I held back. When I retired, I was the free agent, and it was my pocket and my money that was used. So I went into that in a matter of freedom, if you might. And the lessons one has learned, as I told some people this morning, this has been a learning experience for me, not a giving experience. I'm still learning about a culture that's very refreshing for me, but new. And some of the innovativeness is more risky than I would have expected in my years at Tata's, but very refreshing because it has the makings of that vigor and that passion and the willingness to sell your home and sell your car and to make some start in life and to view something differently. And that appeals to me. So in those cases, I have chosen to take small positions, not major positions, but to really support those founders because they're really trying to make a difference.
So when you think about supporting founders, what do you back? Are you backing the idea? Are you backing the person? Are you backing the passion? What do you look for?
Bit of both. The idea, of course, is the main driver to bring us together, because when an idea is refreshing and interesting, be it in medicine, be it in e-commerce or whatever, it appeals to me and that interests me. But it's not by itself, because the founders play an important role. Founders who are interested in just valuations and selling it to a larger company are not those that interest me so tremendously. I'm not looking for multiples of my investment as yet. I'm looking for the enjoyment of dealing in an environment which is invigorating and supporting those founders that want to make a difference, not those who want to flip their company over to a larger company and walk away as a cash out. Those have their place. They're not in my. I think if I were to be that young Ratan Tata, what I would have enjoyed most is somebody saying that we'd provide you with an environment that is more open than. I started my career in a very traditional set of companies. Not bad companies, not terrible to work for. People consider that to be a good place to work, but not one that led to innovation. As a CEO, one has to create the excitement and to create the sense of participation and motivation in the group that wants to be different and to make a difference. I think companies that don't care about making a difference, that just want to stay alive, are companies that eventually die. It's companies that are headed by people who want to make a difference, who want to be remembered for the difference they made, not just for the profits that they made. Profits are important and they provide the fuel for whatever you want to do. But innovation, I think, is driven by a desire to be different, to differentiate yourself positively in a marketplace, to look back on something that says that people say it couldn't be done, but we did it. And I think that's the role a motivated CEO brings in terms of excitement to his company. It's difficult to describe how us sticking to the value systems or ethics has been done, or the effect it has. All I can say is that if there was skepticism of why we were undertaking to stick to this, it wasn't my idea. It was there in the group for 100 years. That was dispelled by the fact that there was a growing number of people that respected us for what we were doing. There was some who considered us to be stupid or silly, but I think within the government, which is also part of the diminishing fabric of ethics, and within the corporate sector, there was respect for us holding on to what we did. How we held on, we really had to take a view that there were no exceptions, that an officer, however senior he might be, if he were guilty of violating the standards of ethics or acting unethically, he would be out or he would be stripped of his position. And we had to take that kind of move a few times, but the message, I think, has been firmly conveyed. There may still be pockets of this that go undetected, but how we deal with them when they are detected, I think, signifies that we're serious about what we're trying to do.